Hello, everybody. It is currently 11:23 a.m. on January 20th, 2023. I'm going to have to release this video on the 27th, which is a week from now, because Shiro releases the next update, which is going to be in this one on December 20 on the 27th, because it's a month after when he published it in Patreon. So, yeah. Anyway, we're now getting into the stuff that I don't know shit about, because this update is the first in like ages. So that's going to be interesting. See how different the writing feels. Hopefully, not too much. Anyway, here's a story for you. So I tried to make this video before, but the update thing, it fucked up the save files. So I had to go back and do the entire thing again, which fucking sucked. But here we are now, and this is. Let's just begin. It felt a bit sacrilegious to try an old sentimental photo with a pair of boxer briefs, but it had to at least remain in one piece. That's not the meaning of this word. How is it That's it's really that's whatever. Cecil was hiding behind a tree with his face buried in his hands while I struggled to put my pants back on. Of course he was. Come on, man. Okay, that's a fucking sentence. Only been a day. I'm pressing on the things right now, okay? Well, think of this as Oh my fucking god, shut up. There's more important things to deal with right now, Jesus. Or fucking twat. Yeah, definitely British. Definitely British. Anyway, what's so important about this old photograph anyway? Carefully waved the photo to air out the last bits of moisture before handing it to Sissel. He froze. This is. It's your mother and Herschel and their friends, back when they were still studying at Granny Academy. This is Curly's figured you should have it. Cecil quietly thumbed over Cecilia Bradley's image, a mix of bittersweet emotions swimming across his face. Mother's playful expression smiled back at him as though she was saying hello. So this is what Mom looked like. It's the messy errands in the family. This smile faded somewhat as he gazed toward the corner of the photo. And that's my uncle, Herschel. Word uncle, so from his lips like a foreign concept. I mean, I didn't think so, yeah. Just found this out, like, literally that day, so. His brows furrowed. I guess this was before he stole Mom's money to attend the national karate competition. Simpler times. An arm around his shoulder and pulled him to a close side hug. This'll just sighed and leaned into me entirely, his gaze still fixed in Herschel's image. Yeah, I opened up. Fine, it's just. I'm like so happy here. I just can't imagine why boss would want to ruin it all for a fucking competition. Otto crinkled under his grip. Shoved it back to my hands with a huff. Hold on to it for me. I'll probably end up staring holes into it. Smelled only back at his warmth. Hey, sis. Hmm? Earlier, you mentioned that you wanted to know more about Herschel and your mom. And you want to understand Herschel better. Cecil snorted. Easier said than done. Want to talk to him about it, but that twat hasn't answered any of my calls or texts. That must run in the family, too. Cecil sput. Yeah, that's exactly. It's very much the truth of it right there. I, you don't accept help and you don't reply to text or calls when you're angry or emotional. Sounds about right. Are you still mad that I didn't call you back earlier today? I just needed some space and all. Okay, I get it. And being a bit of a hypocrite. Yeah. Oh, forgive me. Oh my god. Excuse me. That's what'll get your forgiveness. I nodded sagely. Okay. You're a fucking twat. Yeah. Yeah, I agree at this point. Alex is definitely a piece of twat. Anyway, where was I? Alright. Frowned. How the hell's I gonna explain this? Hey, Cicely, you trust me, right? Of course. How am I bad throughout this whole mess? I had complete faith in you. Shot me a reassuring smile. My chest fluttered and my cheeks felt a little warm. Cool, we get it. Get to the fucking shit. Cleared my throat and nodded. Think I have a way helping you understand Herschel better and see things from his perspective. But it's gonna take some explaining, so bear with me. We're just skipping over it. We're just skipping over it. Who cares about dialogue? Who cares about... Of course, who cares about that when you can just do this? Slowly described, this is my ability to draw out memories from objects using my camera. Literally, life is strange, but whatever. Recalled the way I took a photograph of Philip's little jade coin in the horrific of... You told him this? That's fucked up, dude. That's Philip shit. Kept the details vague. Okay. Okay, I was about to say. A memory of what I saw sent a nauseating wave of bile crawling up my throat. Yeah, no shit. Probably sound like an absolute nutter, but still seemed to be taking it well. Is he? Is he now? Are you high right now? Yep, thought so. Wait, please just trust me on this. Swear on my life it's true. Sissel looked doubtful, but thankfully decided to humor me. Right, and how's this supposed to help me understand Herschel? We have this photograph of his younger days with your mom. Sure I'll be able to glean at least a little bit of history from him. Sissel squinted like he was trying to understand the ravings of a madman. It's a bit rude if you ask me. Course, totally. No, it's not. That is not at all. That's a terrible mindset. If your lover agrees with you on everything, they shouldn't be your lover. End of story. Sis let out a sigh and rubbed his temples. Alright, let's try this weird memory thing of yours. Yes, thank you for trusting me. As long as you're not gonna make me smoke something weird, Mrs. Curlise would kill me. It's got nothing to do. Never mind. Just give me your hand. Still looked a bit suspicious, but hesitantly did as I asked. Cheeks flushed a little when he reached out and... Oh my god, you fucking... Other hand, I carefully laid the old photograph out in the grass and rated my camera. Brace yourself, this might get a bit nauseating. What's that supposed to mean? Ooh, so he can take the... Okay, he can take other people into it now. That's cool. Camera shutter snapped. Suddenly, the world around me shattered into shards of nothing. Okay, something felt different this time round. Sky cracked and shattered into a cascade of shimmering specks of light, falling gently into the cold embrace of night. Wow, so cool. Whoa, what the fuck? Whoa, that's fucking cool. The ground rippled like pale water as I landed lightly on my feet. From above, the cold night sky stretched as far as the eye could see. That's not a sky. Shimmering against the block were tiny specks what appeared to be stars, but upon closer inspection revealed themselves to be tiny pieces of glass. Where's Sissel? Is he here? Below, a vast horizon of red and familiar pale clockwork glowed slowly and softly underfoot. What is this place? This didn't happen last time. Echo's voice suddenly rumbled from deep within my chest. Welcome to the memory well. Oh my god. This is fucking cool. This is your world. What does that mean? If the clockwork realm is Haleen or Wisher's domain, then the memory well is ours. Much as I hate to admit it, as wishes we are rather similar in nature. Time and memory, mortality and connection. Here you will find little pieces of time that you seek. Stare down at my feet and watch the faint reflection of the clockwork realm ticking mechanically through the rippling water. Everything felt trippy, to say the least. Alex, are you there? Sissel, where are you? I asked her nervously. Sissel was nowhere to be seen, but his voice felt close, always right beside me. I'm right here, but kinda not here. It's like I'm in a dream. I was supposed to think with disbelief and Ozzy taking our surroundings. Guess you weren't lying about that little camera thing. Maybe it's just one big acid trip, and not even gonna try to work out the logic of this mess. Yeah, I kinda gave him figuring out how this whole thing works, too. Cecil grumbled under his breath. Well, I did promise to go through it with this weird plan of yours. Now what? Out of the corner of my eye, a piece of glass shimmered with a faint yellow light, and I instantly knew that it was the one of Cecil's memories. Wading through the water, I leaned forward to examine the shard closely. Thin yellow thread looped around the glass before. Fucking cool. Oh, I love this. Around the glass before stretching off into the horizon and tangling with various other threads in its long path. Frayed lavender thread dangled weakly and appeared dangerously thin. Jenny? Beyond it, a pair of orange and red threads danced around each other, maybe Owen and Philip. Grinned and ran my fingers across the faint blue thread wrapped tightly around Cecil's pale yellow strand. So this is ours. Paused. Coiled tightly around the pale yellow thread was a ragged string of gray laying in a tangled mess. Trailed off into the distance on its own as though determined to distance itself from the others. Grabbed at it and followed the thin thread into the dark, inky horizon. Sis, I think I found what we're looking for. Brace yourself. Alright, I'll follow your lead. I nodded. Taking a deep breath, I gave the ragged gray thread a firm tug. This is fucking cool. I love this. Oh, man. He gets, like, oh, there's so much potential with this ability. Oh my god, it's so cool. The world suddenly went white. I was falling once again. A thick, acrid smell filled the air. Whispers and splitting pain suddenly filled my head. What was happening? Oh boy, what's happening? I heard that people often reminisce about their childhood as a foggy, nostalgic memory. Vague details of growing up with family, celebrating birthdays and candlelit cakes. Warm feeling of a happier time. Fortunately, I couldn't say the same for myself. My childhood memories were as sharp as the broken glass bottles that constantly littered the dirty floor of our dingy home. Oh my god, we're getting some of his life story? Amazing. A foul chemical odor permeated from the basement, permeated and penetrated the damp air of every room. Poorly hidden lab for mom and dad's more. Okay, no, this is Herschel. For mom and dad's more legal operations. And the shouting. Always shouting. There was never a quiet moment in the memories of my youth. Mom and dad were always at each other's throats for one thing or another. Sometimes about how they were handling their business, shady clients, and untrustworthy dealers. Other times they just grasped excuses to be angry with each other. Peace was a stranger in this household. A bit more of my childhood hiding in this awful house. So they were to pretend I didn't exist and draw as little attention as possible. Our parents' shouting was horrible, but at least it was usually directed between the two of them. It was worse when it was directed towards me. Fucking okay. Um. No. A sharp pain. My eyes stung with tears, lungs burning with rasping sobs as I clutched the warm, wet gash across my head. Didn't remember much afterwards except for one burning memory. Cecilia stood over my crying body, arms spread protective like a shield that no child should be forced to become. Sister was always there, standing between our parents' rage and my useless self. Jesus fucking Christ. She stood tall, always there to protect me. Her parents took their fury elsewhere. I could remember Cecilia's hushed voice as she gently cleaned my gash out with a warm towel. Low voice whispered everything would be alright. We'll make it through this. Someday we'll run away together, far away from this horrible place. Everything will be better. Always believed her. Knew she could have left a long time ago. Only thing that held her back was me. She could have fled this damn family in this awful house years ago if I weren't around. Years of beatings, years of living in this toxic hellhole, all for my sake. Wasn't worth this. Cecilia could have left and made a great life for herself out in the world. She was hardworking, clever, and far too kind for her own good. I was too much of a sobbing and worthless mess to join her. And so she stayed. My valiant and kind sister shackled her by her worthless weight. Wow, okay. That's a sentence. In hindsight, I guess the result was inevitable, but it didn't make it any less devastating. Cecilia left. My valiant shield was gone, left without a word in the night. Suddenly, there was nothing to stand between me and the horrors of this house. Shouting worsened and the beatings grew more frequent. Mom and Dad clearly weren't happy that you left. I wasn't sure how to feel. Part of me was overjoyed that you managed to escape. I daydream about the wonderful things you must have been up to. Maybe you were chasing your dream becoming a pastry chef like you're always rambling about. Maybe you were just living an ordinary, mundane life. Anything was good. Anywhere was better than here. But another part of me was devastated. Selfish, I know. I already knew I was worthless and that staying here would only ruin us both. You were a kid like me, barely a few years older. It wasn't your job to protect me. But still, the dread and betrayal I felt was crippling. Didn't even say goodbye before you left me in this hellhole. And stung more than I could bear. Worlds slowly descended into a numb and cold daze. Days slipped by without my notice. Time slowly grew into a muddled and meaningless crawl. I wasn't sure what happened from here, but I'd given up myself. Expected that you had done the same. Then came that night. Okay, I have to pause here and just comment on how vastly different this feels to any of the other writing he's done so far. This feels so much more polished and just well thought out that I'm actually stunned. Shiro is definitely improved. Holy shit. It began like any other night. I crawled into bed and closed my eyes, waiting for the usual shouting to cease as my parents fell into an alcohol-soaked slumber. Merciful silence. Late nights were the only time that any semblance of peace ever graced this house. The usual acrid smell from the basement felt especially strong tonight, but I was grateful for the silence. Savored it the best I could as I squeezed my eyes shut, hoping for sleep to pull me away. Suddenly the old floorboards creaked, then a gentle tap on my shoulder. Fuck. I bolted up to see your face, crouched at my bedside, a finger to your lips. Shh. Sis, you came back. I'm giving him a different voice because it said he put the one that he has on, and it just stuck. She smiled and nodded silently. Motion welled up inside my chest and I let out a shaky laugh. Tears threatened to burn my vision as I threw myself into her arms. Shh. Everything is okay now, Hirsch. I'm here. She lowered my back as I sobbed into her shoulder, too scared to let go. Why was she here? Why risk it? Felt Cecilia lightly traced the raw scar across my head, her expression darkening. Come on, Hirsch, we're leaving. Leaving? She nodded firmly. Made some friends while I was away. Some money. We can build a life outside this horrible place. Only you spend another night in this damn house, not over my dead body. Let's go. Quietly. Grasped her hand tightly and followed her outside without a second thought. We ran breathlessly into the woods, hand in hand. That awful house slowly retreated into the thickets of the trees. Kept sneaking glances back towards the only home I had ever known. So this was it. We were finally free from this place. You don't think Mom and Dad will chase after us, do you? Celia slowly slowed to a halt, her gaze following mine as she stared at us with a cold, hard glare. Never seen her look so frigid before. Sis, is everything okay? I'm fine. Her eyes soft, she gripped my hand tightly. Hirsch, I'm so sorry I left you for so long. But I'm here now. We're finally escaping this horrible place just like I promised we would. Oh my god. A low rumble shook the air. I glanced back at the house with shock. Dim light flickering behind the dirty basement window suddenly exploded with intensity. The earth shook with a groan as fire erupted from every door and window. Glass scattered across the dead vegetation, smoke thickened the frigid night air. Watched in horror as flames swallowed up that awful place before our very eyes. Wasn't sure what to feel at that moment. Sadness, maybe, or in an awful way, relief. The place that had caused so much pain was burned away till nothing was left but dancing embers in the night sky. Cecilia gripped my hand tightly, her eyes narrowed into cold, harsh slits. Our parents will never hurt you again. We're finally free. Holy shit! Cecilia, you just fucking murdered 2 people. Jesus Christ! Threads of white on rat. Okay, I'm really fucking happy for that little section there. That gave so much insight into Herschel as a character that I never thought I would get. I am so fucking happy. Threads of white unraveled. My eyes fluttered open and I woke back under the starlit sky of the memory well. So that was Herschel's memory. Couldn't see Sissel, but I could feel his racing heartbeat pounding rapidly alongside my own. You doing okay there, sis? Sissel was silent for a while as she tried to process everything. That was... this memory thing. Everything we saw was real. Yeah. Oh. Sissel paused. Boss mentioned in the past that his family life was a bit shit, but I never realized it was this bad. Just figured he was complaining to make me feel better. And the fact that it was so awful made my mom decide to burn down their family home. Mrs. Curlise rambled on and on about how wonderful and kind she was, but guess anyone would develop a kind of ruthlessness with that kind of upbringing. What was that memory you were looking for? Was that memory looking for? Kinda. It's nice to know that Mom loved and cared for him so much. Somehow just pissed me off even more. Like, if Cecilia was so good to him, why did he steal her money just to compete in a damn competition? There has to be more to this, right? You show me more memories. Rubbed my forehead tiredly. A small nausea and headache was starting to peck at my skull. Staying in this place for long periods of time probably wasn't the best idea. I think I had in me to unravel one more memory. Reached out and followed Herschel's thread deeper into the sea of the night. There was a pale, cream-colored thread entangled with his as we ventured further. Then abruptly the cream-colored thread was cut. Its frayed, severed end broke off from Herschel's thread and laid alone on the cold water below. Gulped and gently grasped Herschel's thread again. This must be the place. Bracing myself, I gave the strand a firm tug. Are you sure you want him to see this? This doesn't seem like a healthy coping mechanism. This doesn't seem healthy. This doesn't seem healthy. During my time in school, I remember hearing Mrs. Corliss loudly brag to all her colleagues about how talented Cecilia was. Her hard-working nature and relentless ambition was truly admirable. She was no genius, but she managed to keep her grades up through sheer stubbornness. Most of all, her talents as a pastry chef were extraordinary. As the years passed, her accomplishments only grew. Trying my best to follow in her footsteps as her loyal little sous chef, but my sister's talent was far beyond my reach. Okay, that's adorable. That's I want to claim that I contributed at least a little bit as her assistant, but in all honesty, her victory was her own. No one was surprised when Cecilia won the National Culinary Championships in spectacular fashion. Nor was anyone surprised when selfless Cecilia announced in interviews that she intended to use the cash prize to fund her little brother's education. Sister did so much for me, her love unconditional. But there was a small part of me that resented how little I compared to her, how little my efforts mattered. I like to think I was a chef of no small talent, but I was forever known as the great Cecilia Bradley's talented little brother. I didn't hate it entirely. Having Cecilia as a sister was a point of pride for me. There was one aching fear gnawing inside me, one singular loathing sensation. I hated how I would never be able to repay her for everything she'd done. Despite all my efforts to help her in return, Cecilia didn't need me. She would have flourished even more if her precious little brother wasn't there to weigh her down. I was just a burden at this point, another mouth to feed. Sound familiar yet, Sissel? Good lord. I don't mean that like, oh, kiddo. Like, I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking. I'm loving this shit. Every time she helped me, comforted me, and supported me, I felt the loathing for my own helplessness grow stronger. Maybe she should have left me there, back at that awful house. She would have been better off. But part of me remembered that suffocating dread I felt when I was left behind. And that thought steeled me and forced me to face forward. I was going to become someone who was worth all this trouble. Would repay her for her kindness if it was the last thing I ever did. Sound familiar, Sissel? I would become someone worthy of being Cecilia Bradley's younger brother. And so, a few years down the line, a plan began to form in my head. Although we were free from our parents' grasp, life had not been kind to us. Our parents somehow continued to haunt us beyond the grave in the form of their debt collectors. They were constantly knocking at our door and demanding payment at gunpoint. There was no reasoning with them. We burned through most of the prize money from Cecilia's winnings at this point, and the situation was growing dire. Cecilia even tried to marry a rich fellow from the next city over. For her efforts, she was left alone with a fatherless child. Bless her heart, she swore to raise him the best she could. I died before I had forced another child to grow up like I did, she said. Tried to help the best I could, point out of school and working extra hours as a supporter of my new nephew. But it wasn't enough. Debt collectors grew more violent, their demands more absurd. It was all we could do to fend them off. And so I decided to move forward with my plan. We just needed one more victory. Cecilia cannot compete in the National Culinary Championships again, but I could. I attended the preliminaries and swept through the competition with ease. Made it to the Nationals and won. I could use the money to pay off the rest of our debts. To be free from the final lingering grasp of our parents' cruelty. and I would finally be able to repay my dear sister for all she had done for me. There was only one small problem. I couldn't afford the trip across the country to the Nationals. Only had the chance to compete, I could fix everything. If only I had the chance. I didn't know what possessed me to steal money from my sister for the trip. Maybe it was because I knew Cecilia would forgive me. She was always that kind of person. Or maybe it was because I really believed I could single-handedly solve all our problems. Or worse yet, maybe I did it solely because I wanted a chance to finally bask in the spotlight, finally free from my sister's looming shadow. Whatever the case, I had won. Holding that golden cup in my hands, I felt pride and contentment in myself for the first time in my life. Finally, I had done something worth a damn. Only I knew what it would cost. I felt I felt the world drop from under me when I arrived home. I was in ruins and my sister was nowhere to be found. I remember tearing through the house from top to bottom, searching for any sign of my sister and my family. They were gone. I was once again left alone. Except this time it was my own fault. She really should have just left me back there in that awful house. The next few years passed in a solemn blur. Every day was a daze. I took my winnings and opened up a small cafe downtown, just like he always dreamed of doing. I went through the motions of running the place, but everything felt empty. Wasn't sure why I even bothered. You should be here, not your miserable excuse of a brother. Couldn't even bear to look at that miserable golden cup and end up tossed in a closet to rest. That crushing guilt weighed over me, not once ceasing for a single moment. And some days I wondered why I even bothered waking up. A small part of mine told me this was what you would wanted, for me to keep moving forward. Another part of me knew that if I ended things, I might see you again. Mere thought of it, the sheer guilt, it terrified me. So I kept pushing forward, living through the days like an empty, cowardly husk. But everything changed and I found him. On that rainy day, I found him digging through the garbage bin behind the cafe. First, I thought it was another scavenging raccoon and almost clocked him over there with my umbrella. Whoa, hold up, what's the big idea? That was a kid's voice. I drew my makeshift bludgeoning weapon and gingerly tapped the side of the garbage bin. What the hell are you doing in my trash? Get out of there, kid, it ain't sanitary. Oh, fuck off, you twat. I'm not going to use any of this stuff anyway. I froze and stared. Two tiny ears poked up from behind the bin and a pair of familiar eyes stared back. It was like seeing a ghost. In that moment, in the cold, uncaring rain, I just knew with all certainty in the world I had found him. Sis? The fuck do I know you? You should have seen that little guy. He was so much like you. Brash, stubborn, and took no nonsense, but there was the same look in his eye. It was the look of a child who was forced to grow up too fast. Well, that wouldn't do. I'd die before I forced another child to grow up like you did. Took a step forward, and the boy already looked like he was ready to bolt. Held my umbrella over his head and forced a tired but friendly smile across my face. It was the first time I smiled in a long while. Probably looked awful. Apparently the boy agreed. Tried to scurry out of the garbage, but only managed to tumble out and fall on his face. Plucked him off the culprit ground before he could make a break for it. Hey, hands off! What are you doing? What are you in such a hurry for? The kid was shivering against the rain. His clothes were organized, oversized for his thin body and ripped at unsightly places. It looked like he'd seen better days. His arm and shot me a stubborn glare. It's been pretty average, to be honest. Getting almost clobbered while I look for lunch is a bit new, though. Lunch, there ain't nothing in that bin besides used napkins and stale baguettes. Well, I don't have much to choose from now, do I? Stared at him for a moment. You got the home, kid? Or at least someone you can call? Fully glared at me as always a peak of stupidity. Do I look like I'd be digging through garbage for food if I had parents or a home? I swear to God, if you call child service, I'm gonna... Hey, what are you doing? Hoisted the kid over my shoulder, meandering me towards the cafe. Weighed very little, uncomfortably so. First things first, let's get you out of the rain. You hungry? What kind of question is that? I'll take that as a yes. Nice omelets and French toast will warm you up. Boy was quiet for a while. You know, most grown-ups tend to throw me out when they find me digging through their trash. What kind of grown-ups you been running into? I ain't letting a starving kid out in the rain. There's a futon shower upstairs. You can stay as long as you need. Suddenly grimaced and scowled, ears drooping, almost shame. Don't need your fucking charity. Been smooched out my friends too much already. I want to turn into a damn leech. Then betrayed him with a sharp gurgle. Got my head back with a laugh. You can argue all you want after you're fed. At this point, the kid had stopped thrashing in my grip, but continued to eye me warily. If I'm not fine on my own, you know, been doing that since forever. That doesn't make it right. But, I sighed, you sound so much like you. Same stubborn self-sufficiency. Alright, how's this? You looking for a job, kid? I've been wanting to help around the cafe lately. Can teach you a thing or two about cooking and baking while you're at it. I don't know the first thing about food. That's fine, you can learn. And if you don't like it, we can find something else for you to do. Ain't leaving you out in the streets, though, no matter how much you complain. Wouldn't be able to live myself if I did that to a kid. Well, he kept staring at me as though not quite believing what I was saying. You're a weird fucking guy. I laughed again, and a genuine smile spread across my face. I've been called worse. It's Sissel. You answered my name earlier? It's Sissel. I grinned, my chest feeling lighter than it had been for years. Sissel, that's a fine name. Oh my cafe, sis. Oh my god. Oh, it's so fucking sweet. That merciful day, I swore to hell and back that I would not take the second chance for granted. It's good for nothing, less than words about to refuse to let you down again. Your son will grow up with all the love and support I have to give, I swear it upon my life. Since that day, this promise was the only thing that kept me moving forward. It's the only thing that made my life worth living. Jesus. Yeah, this update's fucking amazing. Holy shit. My consciousness fluttered back into focus under that shimmery night sky. Blinked and rubbed my eyes, my mind still trying to process what I just saw. So that was Hershel's memory. As his presence hovered beside my own, I could feel his own storm of conflicted emotions. I almost said emotions, good grief, roaring against my chest. We sat silently for a while, neither of us uttering a word. Felt like an eternity before we both managed to catch our breaths, and Sissel finally spoke. Think I've seen enough. Like to wake up now. Right, sounds good. I'll see you back at Bradley Lake then. Yeah. Sissel muttered something under his breath. Soon I felt his presence fade as his consciousness fluttered outside the memory well's reach. Should probably get going too. Staying here for so long was starting to take its toll. Exhaustion weighed upon my entire being like an unrelenting fog. I felt my body waking up, but the memory well fading from view, something caught my eye. If I stared hard enough, I could see a small familiar figure sitting beneath the pale waters below. It's hardly visible beneath the misty glow of the clockwork realm. Frail figures smiled and waved. Thought I was trying to say something, but I couldn't catch a single word before the world faded from view. My eyes snapped open. Sissel and I were laying on the grass at the edge of Bradley Lake. Looked like we were passed out for a long while. The sky was already dark and our clothes were dry from our soak in the lake. Sissel sat off and stared into the distance in a daze. I'm not even gonna ask what the fuck just happened. Let a chuckle and scratch my head awkwardly. I don't think I could explain it even if you did. Did it help, though? Seeing things from Ursul's perspective? Everything that we saw. Was it all real? Probably. This camera thingy's never lied to me before. Sissel fell silent again, glaring at the grass at his feet. Then he stood up and began to walk briskly away. Sissel? Hey, where are you going? Rushed after him as he stomped down the forest trail leading out of Bradley Woods. Sissel marched all the way to the front of Herschel's cafe without uttering a word. Pants as I struggled to keep up with him. Sissel, what are you up to? Saying nothing as he struggled with the cafe's front door. Locked. Lights are off and everything. Like Herschel's closed the place down for the day at least. Sissel grunted, dug a spare key out of his ragged shorts and shoved it in the keyhole. Front door swung open to reveal a dark and empty cafe. All the chairs were propped up on the tables and the pastry displays were empty and unused. Boss? There's a voice echoed to the cafe diner with no response. Huff and stomped into the kitchen. Herschel was nowhere to be found. Dumbass. Regulars probably weren't happy to see the place closed today. Uttered a sigh and slumped onto a nearby chair. Is everything okay? Just rubbed his temples with a frown. Yeah, kind of. I don't know. The things we saw, it's all stuck in my head. Let his head fall backward as he stared up at the ceiling. I'm still mad at him. I wish he told me all this sooner. Would have saved me years of thinking I was an unwanted child. But I get it. A bitter laugh and nudged his head towards the part of the ceiling. Followed his gaze. Large portion of the ceiling and walls looked newer. There's a fresher coat of paint over areas that were obviously repaired in the past. Remember that story I told you last night over dinner? Yeah, I think so. Mentioned trying to surprise Herschel baking him a cake for his birthday. He retired and fell asleep with the oven on. Yep, and ended up burning down at the cafe. Just wanted to do something nice to repay him for all the good he's done for me. Still, he just managed to make everything worse. Now that I think about it, I probably drove him deeper into debt with these shady guys from this morning. And yet, Herschel still kept me around. Said it wasn't my fault and kept supporting me all the same. A deep furrow on his brow, a small smile began to spread across his face. Always felt kind of worthless. I grew up feeling like an absolute charity case, you know? Every time teacher Herschel helped me with something, I just felt awful. Like I didn't deserve any of it. The reason why I worked so hard is because I wanted to stand on my own 2 feet and pay them back for their kindness someday. His boss kind of felt the same way. So I get it. Still angry, Herschel really fucked up when he stole that money from my mom. Just wanted to help, and it's been trying to unfuck things ever since. So sighed. Man, this is so fucking good. Turned towards the part of the cafe that was still a mess from this morning's intrusion. Those guys who came in the cafe this morning, they were the ones who killed my mom, not Herschel. They were the ones who forced me to grow up on the streets like garbage. I'd still determined glare. Hell for me to let them take away the last family I've got left. Trickled softly. Still gotta get Boss an earful for being a fucking twat who's trying to deal with all this on his own. I decided I'm gonna find him and sort things out together. We can squabble out all we want afterwards. Shy look suddenly flushed across his face as he glanced at me sheepishly. Thanks, Alex, for sticking with me through all this. Probably sound like an idiot right now. It was the obvious choice from the beginning, wasn't it? Just had a lot of feelings to work through. Thank you for helping me every step of the way. Wouldn't be here without you. Oh, she's so very warm. Sissel reached out and held my hands in a comforting squeeze. Seeing this renewed determination, Sissel's eyes had filled me with a sense of hope. Smiled and squeezed back. Of course. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. Fucking... Ah, so cute. We had decided to wait around at the cafe for Herschel to return home and then ambush him with some fussy shouting or a hug. Sissel hadn't decided which yet. But as hours tick by, our nervousness grew. It was already past midnight. Sissel muttered that Herschel had to come home soon, or at least give him a call. Still, the twat's spare keys to the cafe and the spares to his old rusty truck, he said. So we waited, but Herschel was still nowhere to be found. Pacing around the dining area for what felt like forever, Sissel marched upstairs to search around for hints of where Herschel might have gone. Didn't feel particularly comfortable about rummaging through Herschel's stuff, so I decided to stick around the dining area in case he came back. There was still no sign of him, though. I sighed off with my camera quietly. Hey, Echo, you there? Soft chill brushed across my fingers. Yeah, I'm here. Is there any chance we could help us track down Herschel? You seem to have a talent for that kind of thing. Sorry, I've grown too weak as of late. It's not really an option in my diminished form. Oh, sorry to hear that. Have you been recovering much? No, not really. Oh, is there anything I can do to help? No need to worry about me. Just keep focused on your current situation. There's a pause. Speaking of which, there's been something I've been meaning to tell you. I'm running out of time. There's something I have to do while I'm still able. I'll be leaving you for a while. What? You can't leave yet. What am I going to do without you? I let a quiet chuckle. You'll be fine. Just keep pushing forward. These threads, these bonds that you've woven around you, they're yours. You don't need me anymore. What do you mean? Where are you going? Echo's presence slowly faded without another word. A single flick of light danced out of my camera lens and flickered away into the night sky. Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my god, that's... Fuck. A hushed quiet suddenly fell over the cafe. Was he really gone? I sighed and grasped my camera tightly. Knowing that Echo would no longer answer when I called for him, I suddenly felt a little lost. No. I shook my head furiously as though warding away those cold thoughts. Can't lose my cool now. Gotta keep pushing forward just like he said. I got this. Though suddenly Buzz nearly knocked me over with surprise. Scrambled to turn it on to find Sissel messaging me. Hey Alex, you doing okay down there? Everything's fine, just a little quiet. What about you? Find anything upstairs? Nothing so far. About this morning. Sorry I ghosted you. I still kind of feel bad about it. Hey, it's all good. Everyone needs their space sometimes. So let me know next time so I worry less. I know, but I still want to make it up to you, so, here you go. No, 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 I'm pausing it. Oh, thank God. Thank you, Shiro. Thank you. Skip. Very nude selfie. His face was flushed red as he held his phone camera above his head. Oh, it's glory. I could see the cafe's... Oh my. Dang. Okay, enough. I mean, I was fully joking earlier, but I appreciate the treat nonetheless. You are now fully forgiven. Well, shut the fuck up. Well, it felt right to do that now that we're official. Okay. Definitely saving this for future use. You're never gonna let me live this down, are you? Nah, you're right. Why jerk off to a new one? I've got the real thing right here. Fucking Christ. There's a loud clatter upstairs as the sister had knocked something over. God, you're the worst. TTL, talk to you later. I'm gonna keep searching the place. Sounds good. Still allowed to get lit. Oh my god. It's just the ellipsis of Sissel's typing. Okay. Yeah, sure. I laughed and stuck my phone back in my pocket. It was so fun. Okay. Yeah, cool. It was nice being so close with Sissel, especially compared to how things were during the last timeline. Mere memory of him made me shudder apprehensively. Reached down and clutched my camera tightly. I will never take this for granted, I swear it. Oh no. Oh no, the fucking Zawurldo thing. A biting chill abruptly filled the cafe, sending shivers down my spine. Stood up, dread crawling nauseatingly across my skin as I glanced around frantically. God damn it, now of all times! Come out, I know you're there! There's a little gurgle from the corner of the dining area. Crouched down and glanced under a table. Dark, wispy out of the end, it was dragging itself across the floor, its maniacal grin spread wide across its face. Maybe it's better this way. I could end it here, take this accursed debt with me. Sissel will finally be free. Sis, I wonder, what would you think of me now? I stared at it for several long moments as it continued to gurgle its nonsense. Then I stood up and shouted upstairs. Hey, Sissel, where did you keep the broom and dustpan? No, it's behind the counter in the cash register. Thanks. Promptly swept around its blabbering head into the dust-stained dustpan and unceremoniously ducked the contents in a nearby trash can. Its nonsensical rambles turned to muffled grunts as I tied up the bag, marched outside, and tossed the whole thing into the dumpster. Wasn't going to let it ruin everything, not again. Made sure to slam the dumpster lid for good measure. It's my best efforts, the remnant's words stuck in my head as I stepped back in the cafe. Wonder how this whole new timeout was affecting Herschel. God! Last time you fell into a pretty dark place. That's the understatement of the century. I glanced around. The cafe hadn't burned down this time around, but there was still plenty of room for things to go wrong. Leaving Herschel to stew alone in his own thoughts might have been a bad idea. Hey, Alex. Sizzle blurted his head out from the stair with a nervous frown. Searched upstairs, and it looks like Boss took out all the money from his bedroom. Show me a few of his hiding spots where he stores his cash for emergencies. They're all gone. What? Leaned over the counter and stared. Cash register's empty too. Sizzle tugged his ears nervously. You don't think he took all the money to try and pay off those debt collectors, do you? Know for a fact the boss's finances haven't been too hot lately. Definitely doesn't have enough to pay out people literally threatening his life. He's not doing something stupid like dealing with this all by himself. Panic rose in his voice as he pulled out his phone and tried to call us repeatedly. No answer! The fuck is he? I swear to God if anything happens! His rambles echoed in my head as I gritted my teeth nervously. Herschel wasn't exactly the best state of mind when we left him. And well, you saw his memories. Doesn't exactly have the healthiest sense of self-worth either. Don't think he's gone to meet those debt collectors. I'm gonna kill him. These guys don't seem like the negotiating type, especially knowing what they did to my mom. Sissel exchanged anxious looks. We better go find Herschel before he tries anything rash. Yeah, I've been trying to do that for the past few hours. No idea where he is. The hell we're supposed to find him before... Sissel let a frustrated hiss and slumped into a chair, his head buried in his hands. The only family I've got left. What if he... I yelled furiously. No, we had to stay calm. Think. Got my brain frantically. Call Philip. Call Philip or Owen. Where would Herschel go if he wanted to make a deal with these debt collectors? Is there a meeting place for these shady dealings, or maybe a drop-off point? Need more information. Information! I snapped open. Yep. I was straight on him getting a tattoo done by an ex-gang member. He was really nice once I got to know him, though. He even gave me his number and told me to call him if I was stuck in a bad place. Stood up suddenly. What's the matter? Did you figure something out? Do you remember telling me that story how you got your tattoo from the ex-gang member? You said his name was Morse, I think. Sissel blinked and stared at me strangely. I mean, I did get my tattoo from an ex-gang member. I didn't remember telling you about it. I froze. Oh. Did that happen before or after my little... Oh, you slipped up, buddy. That's a bad move. I was pretty sure I only met Morse during the last timeline, too. Fuck it. We have to stay focused. You still have his number, right? Call him. Now. Alright. Someone moves his phone contacts frantically. Two of us listened anxiously as the speaker buzzed for what felt like an eternity. Finally, someone picked up. Spike. Hello, sir. Ah, Cecil, that ratty little kid that Jane tried to smuggle into a tattoo parlor. Yeah, that's me. Listen, you said that I could call you if I ever ran into trouble. Pulled the phone from his grip and leaned into the speaker. Morse, you were friends with Celia Bradley back when you were still at Green Academy, right? Good friends, in fact. Morse paused without surprise or consideration. I wasn't sure. Perhaps. Why do you ask? You should be familiar with Herschel too, right? He's in a really bad place right now, and we're afraid he might do something rash. He's all mixed up with these dangerous debt collectors threatening his life and stop and catch my breath. My friend said that your line of work lets you know practically everything that happens in this city. That you're a man of information. Do you know where Herschel might try to meet up with these debt collectors? Please, we need your help to find him before he gets hurt. The phone was quiet for several moments. Finally, Morse spoke. I suppose I owe Cecilia a favor or two. Fine, I lend a hand. For old time's sake. There's a shuffling sound into the speaker. If Cecilia's stupidly self-sacrificing nature runs in the family, I have a decent hunch of where a brother might be. By a sharp beat. 1 moment. Hello? I say, don't do anything careless. I'll be there shortly. Well, speak of the devil, it appears one of my connections just ran the person you're looking for. Really? Don't get too excited. He's in an incredibly dire situation right now. Not sure if your luck is absurdly good or atrociously bad. Dire situation. Is he okay? That is yet to be determined. Older man sighed. Says you a location. It's a frequent meeting place between a certain crime family and their clients. Do you two have access to a vehicle? Well, I have the spare keys to Boss's old truck. Excellent. Take the truck and go to the location I sent you. Do not engage or do anything rash. Our goal tonight is to find Herschel and make sure he returns home safely. Understood. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it. There's a pause. And Alex, was it? Yeah? You mentioned my existence to anyone outside this conversation. I will ensure it will be the last thing you do. Do you understand? Oh, yes, sir. With that, Morse hung up. This is when I exchanged stunned looks. For a moment, we both pulled ourselves together and rushed towards the cafe parking lot. Time was of the essence. Well, shit. Day 13, sync. I don't like that. I don't like that. No. Earlier that night. Whoa. Whoa, what? That's the lake. Okay, that's a different shot of it. How big is this thing? And okay, I need to go and pee. I'll be back in a second. Jesus. Oh boy. Alright, time to get back into this. Hello, I'm just, The waning moon hung in the cold night sky over Bradley Lake. Flickering, neglected streetlights struggled to illuminate a narrow road that snaked around the lake's perimeter, leading to an abandoned warehouse. Dark and gloomy atmosphere clashed sharply against the clown shoes colored motorcycle currently revving its way down the road while blaring the most unbearable country music to grace mortal ears. Fuck yeah. Philip. More vigilante Philip action. Fuck yeah. Philip gripped onto Owen's back for dear life as he swerved the motorbike around the road with reckless abandon. He had half a mind to just jump off and walk the rest of the way. Everything felt miserable. It was cold, the music was too loud, and the motorcycle was such a hideous shade of orange that it hurt to look at. The universe seemed to take pity on him as the motorbike mercifully swerved into a warehouse parking lot and slowed to a stop. Philip left off the bike before Owen even repositioned the kickstand and reveled in his newfound appreciation for solid ground. I am never getting into a vehicle with you again. Oh, come on, it wasn't that bad. The drive here was nice and relaxing at least. Philip jabbed a finger at the extremely orange motorbike. This thing. It's a crime against nature. Who in their right mind gets an orange motorbike? Where'd you even get this thing? I think it's a great bike, and it's mine, thank you very much. I had this beauty for many years. I've never seen this hideous thing in the school parking lot before. Where have you been keeping it? Well, it's from home. Gnome squinted. Didn't you run away from home when you were like 12? Oh, I might have gone back home and borrowed this from my butler. Borrowed. Okay, maybe he snuck it out of the garage and he wasn't looking, more the accurate term. I don't like it like that. I'll give it back after night. It's supposed to be a birthday present from before I left anyway. What kind of idiot gives a motorcycle to a 12-year-old? Scratched his head sheepishly. Okay, so it's a bit spoiled, but you can't deny this thing's gonna be useful tonight. What else we're gonna do? Take a cab all the way out here? Getting back home will be a bit an issue. Aren't you rich? You could have run a normal car and have forced me to ride this abomination. Hey, you're the one who offered to come with me tonight. Phil let a sigh and shook his head. Yeah, I guess I did. Turned towards the dark, abandoned warehouse looming across the parking lot. So, this is a designated meeting place? Yeah. Those two debt collectors from my family should be here. It was paying arranging this meeting. Each one of those encrypted anonymous messengers that auto-delete my text after a set time. Take security pretty seriously, I guess. Owen sighed. He began filming with the trunk of his hideous orange motorcycle and pulled out a small briefcase. So the plan. Just gotta meet with my family's henchmen and pay off Sissel's boss's debts in cash. Sounds simple enough, right? Willem's hand hovered over his shoulder bag as he cautiously scanned their surroundings. These kinds of things never go as planned. Keep your guard up. You know, you don't have to come with me. You didn't have to come with me. Don't be stupid. I'm not letting you meet your murder-happy relative by yourself. I do care, sometimes. Yeah, but this is my family's problems. Philip shut up in a sharp look. You're not the only one who's been wronged by the Loreleys. Not to mention, you and I are finally starting to get along. It'd be a shame if you kicked the bucket tonight. I don't want to deal with a replacement roommate. Huh? Wow, you almost sound like you enjoy me around. Don't put words in my mouth. Anyway, enough yapping. I'll lead the way. Owen blinked and flashed her with a sheepish smile. Well, if you insist, let's go. God, these two are great. Oh, man. Whereas this interior flickered in the dim glow of poorly maintained fluorescent lights in the high ceiling. Oh boy. Owen could hear their footsteps echo through the mostly empty space as they made their way inside. Stuck closer to Philip as he nervously scanned the dark corners of the building. Despite his small intimidating frame, Owen was glad that Philip decided to tag along. Things felt safer with him by his side. A slight movement in the shadows caught his eye. Owen gulped as he turned toward two tall figures across the large room. There they were. Philip bellowed him, his eyes narrowing at the figures' belts. They're armed. Yeah, I can see that. His palm felt sweaty against the handle of his briefcase as he and Philip approached. Thin, shrewd-looking thug with a surprised murmur. So you're the anonymous contact that messages. Son of Orland, the Lorelei in the flesh. You're the last person I expected to request a meeting. Large, the two thugs laughed and cracked his knuckles. So this is the boss kid. I've been itching to finally meet you. Can't say the same myself. Yeah, a lot of the cold shoulder. We're family after all. Burly thug turned his gaze toward Phil with a confused frown. Is this little fella? He's not supposed to be your bodyguard or something. Probably snap him half with one hand. Owen shocked, almost looked mildly amused. You're welcome to try. Shrewd thug cleared his throat loudly. Now, settle down. This is supposed to be a cordial meeting. Let's hear what they have to say. Owen stiffened as the man gave him a praising look. Although I must remind you, the only reason the Lorelei family has ceased hostilities against you, Owen, is due to your father's orders. With one condition. You are not to interfere with the family's business under any circumstances. Studied Owen closely. Contacting us already is skirting the line. I'm interested in why you'd risk such a thing. Hey now, I'm not planning to interfere with anything. In fact, I'm here to take a problem off your hands. Oh. Swamp Prater's nervousness showing his voice. Talking about that baker you've been trying to collect money from. Herschel, right? Thing is, I've got a soft spot for the guy. Love his little cakes and pastries. It's a shame to see him go under. So, I've decided to pay off the entirety of his debts out of the goodness of my heart. Got to get your money and have one less person to fuss over, and you get to keep dining at my favorite cafe. Sounds like a win-win offer, all things considered. Owen held out the small briefcase to the two Lorelei men. And as a show of goodwill, here's a bit for the initial payment in cash. What do you say? The two men exchanged surprised looks. In a brief moment, they both burst into a bout of hysterical laughter. Young man, the Lorelei family is not so desperate that we need to milk funds from a struggling baker. This was never about the money. What? What do you mean? Why would you threaten his family and hound him for years if money was never the issue? You are truly ignorant of the family's work, aren't you? Were you expecting to swoop in and save your friend like a helpful little philanthropist? Owen sputtered and struggled to think of words to say. Philip placed a steadying hand on his arm, his gaze pointed sharply at the shrewd debt collector. I don't say we'd say no to free money. Shrewd smiled venomously. Lorelei family is in no shortage of funds. We have an entirely separate issue. What would that be? Collector sighed and scratched his chin thoughtfully. This was before your time, but the Loreleis were once the most feared and respected family in the city. Power and influence we had, oh, those were the days. His eyes narrowed in displeased slits. Then things changed when your father, Orlando Lorelei, took the reins as head of the family. Man is far too soft, weak-willed, spineless. As the years went on, our little business partners began to grow more complacent. They dared to haggle during deals, and dentists grew less warm when he knocked on their doors. Every instance your father Leander turned a blind eye. Suffice to say, certain members of the family began to find his methods disagreeable. A cruel smile spread across the man's face. I think the city could use a reminder of who they're dealing with. Ellen is quite a strong and impression like a dead body, don't you think? This is... You'd kill someone just for this? Schleck's burly shoulders shook with laughter as he cracked his knuckles again. Been a while since I last did. I got a bit rusty. Little Baker will probably go slowly and painfully. But how strong is send a message while business partners? You can't. What about Oleander? Didn't you say my dad disapproves of this kind of thing? No way you would allow this. Not sure if you noticed, kid, but a good portion of the family really doesn't like your old man. Push here and a shove here, the Lawleys might be under new management soon. Only thug winces his partner elbowed him sharply in the ribs. Always running that mouth of his. And her man let out a sigh. Needless to say, I'm afraid I'll have to turn down. You'll have to pay off your favorite Baker's loans, Owen Lorelei. His grip in his suitcase tightened, his mind racing with panic. Don't suppose you folks would be open to a friendly bribe. Shoots. Your inexperience is showing, Owen Lorelei. Supposed to negotiate from a position of power. But yes, we would love to take a bribe from you. Payment to keep our silence about our little meeting here today. Excuse me? The guy with the suitcase, briefcase in Owen's hands with a cruel smirk. Fan will not be happy to hear you've reached out for a meeting to meddle in our affairs. It arguably violates the terms that your father laid out for your safety. You wouldn't want the unsavory members of the family coming for your head now, would you? His teeth as he watched the thug's sneer grow wider. Oh, but I'm feeling rather generous today. Sure you can convince me to stay quiet somehow. Watch the thug grin took a step forward, his massive bulk towering over an intimidating display. Gritted his teeth. There didn't seem any other option for him here. Glaron hesitantly handed his briefcase of cash over to the larger man. Thank you for your business, Owen Lorelei. Trust that you'll stay in line if you know what's good for you. I'm not letting you two get away with this. Phil grasped his arm, silencing him urgently. Don't do or say anything rash. You don't want your entire family to come after us. But we accomplished nothing. I know, but these two are just itching for an excuse to go on the aggressive. Don't give them that chance. There's nothing else we can do here right now. Let's go back down and gather our thoughts. We need to make good decisions instead of letting our frustrations get the better of us. Sound good? One second deep breath and then let out a bitter sigh. Alright. With that, they slowly retreated from the abandoned warehouse while ignoring the smug grins across both thugs' faces. As soon as they stepped out of the warehouse, someone let a frustrated holler and kicked over an by trash can. That was an absolute waste of time. We got nowhere closer to fixing this whole mess. Philip shot him a sympathetic look. Relax. This isn't the type of thing we can solve alone in one night. No, I know. It's just... Sis is a good friend. No one that my family's running people he cares about just really rubs me the wrong way. Sighed and plopped down the sidewalk. Knew this probably wouldn't go well, but I didn't expect to make no progress tonight. Well, it wasn't entirely useless. Seems like everyone in the Lorelei family is on board with their old murderous methods. Sounds like your father's trying to steer the family into a more respectable direction. Maybe we contact the right people and play our cards right, we can prevent Sissel's boss from coming to harm. Easier said than done. Philip mumbled something under his breath as he pulled out his phone and began dialing numbers. One sat up and glanced over his shoulder. Who are you calling? Philip shut out with a sly grin. Believe it or not, the Black Cat has a few friends in his back pocket for these kinds of situations. One of those friends happens to be an informant, a criminal informant. Trades secrets among the seedier parts of the city, and he's got a special interest in the Lorelei family. And he owes me a few favors. I'm sure he can give us a hand. He raised an eyebrow curiously. What did you do for this guy to get these kind of favors? Philip shrugged. I broke him out of jail when I was younger. What? How did that happen? Bad luck, for the most part. But don't worry about it. Point is, I think he can help us out of this mess. Philip paused. peered up at Owen, staring slowly at the thick anxiety painted across his face. His eyes softened, he gently placed a reassuring hand on Owen's arm. We'll figure this out, you can count on it. Yeah, thanks, Philip. Oh, man, you're so... Night chill, but at their thin clothes, with the two of them settled down at the spot where Owen parked his eyes over a motorcycle. Philip continued poking at his phone as he tried to call his informant friend, but was met with little success. Owen Washley swore under his breath while trying a dozen other numbers. Is your friend usually this hard to reach? Got like a million different phone numbers and tosses half of them every other week. Little shit, what's the point of being an informant if nobody can reach him? Phillips turned around dial tones. A soft light in the distance caught Owen's eye. Lance stopped, confused. Staring out across the parking lot, I noticed the shining headlights of a vehicle approaching through the night. Taxi? Who the hell takes a taxi here at this time of night? They'll definitely have a hard time getting home. Car slowed to a stop in the warehouse parking lot. A familiar figure climbed out. Owen's eyes grew to the size of dinner plates, and he seized Phil by the shoulder. Hey, isn't that... Phil glanced up and frowned, following his gaze. Hard to make out in the distance, but the silhouette figure with his wide frame and head bandana was undoubtedly Sissel's boss. He watched as he grabbed a large backpack from the taxi and watched the way the driver goodbye. He's coming this way, hide! Owen felt nearly scrambled to shove his aggressively eye-catching motorcycle out of sight behind a row of bushes. Dove underneath the shrubbery just as his boss rushed by, oblivious to their presence, and made a mad dash at the dark warehouse. That was definitely Sissel's boss. What is he doing here? I doubt it's anything good. Two of them exchanged perplexed look, quietly following the man. They lost sight of Sissel's boss as he rushed into the dimly lit warehouse. Following him inside was too risky. They would be spotted an instant in the large empty building. Will grabbed Owen's arm and yanked him towards the back of the building, where they thankfully found an open window with a decent view inside. Two loyal thugs were still loitering in the back of the building as his boss cautiously approached them. Thought it was weird they didn't leave immediately after we did. They had another meeting arranged. He'll get glared through the dim lights of the warehouse as he continued desperately dialing into his phone. Shh, you hear what they're saying? Thankfully, the voices of the people inside echoed through the warehouse loud and clear. Shit. It was a defeated look on Sissel's boss's face as he threw down his stuffed backpack at the thug's feet. Alright, I brought all the money I could muster up on short notice, and... What did he say? I don't care. The shrewd dog glanced over the back with a raised brow. Is that all? She took a deep breath. Face was crestfallen with defeat. Hung his head low and then slowly breathed out. I know it's not enough, and I know I won't be able to pay it all up by the end of the week like you asked. I know if I don't pay, you're gonna kill me like you did my sister. She looked up, his eyes sunken and strained. After all these years, I'm tired of this cat and mouse chase. Tired of running from what's coming to me. So I'm turning my Sidofi in. Sweet his eyes shut. This all has to end one way or another, and I might as well take the debt with me. The silence hung in the air. Thugs exchanged curious glances. The larger thug snatched the backpack off the floor and yanked it open. A sizable amount of cash spilled over as the burly thug struggled to stuff it back inside. Shrewd partner turned back towards Herschel an appraising look. Herschel McDermott. Even after all these years, you're still the same clueless little kid hiding behind your sister's shadow. What are you talking about? Crow's smirk spread across the dead collector's face. Appreciate you making things easier for us, but you seem to be in a misunderstanding something. Never said ending your debts. We never said anything about ending your debts with your death. After all, your parents' debt didn't die with them. They were passed on to you. His hair bristled and dread slowly seeped down his spine. These pieces of abhorrent shit. They're worse than shit, for fuck's sake. Holy God. What do you mean? I don't have any family left. It doesn't necessarily have to be a blood relative. We're not a picky bunch. What about that boy that's been living on your roof the past few years? He'll do. And boy, Oshu, quite a bit as we understand. Luke's partner piped up with a grin. Isn't that kid gonna compete in the big tournament soon? If he's any good, we'd be happy to take his winnings off his hands. And if he's not... Herschel froze. The reality situation slowly setting in, and a furious snarl erupted from his throat. Lunged for the debt collector, but his large partner swung a fist and knocked him onto the concrete floor. Herschel winced from the throwing pain across his cheek as he tried to pick himself up. Don't you dare touch him! You're not in much of a position to make demands. This wasn't the deal, I swear to God, if you lay a single hand on the kid! Burly thug landed a heavy kick to Herschel's stomach, sending him whirling across the cold floor and knocking the wind out of him. Aspen coughed, struggling to regain his breath. He felt the larger man plant a crushing foot firmly on his chest. Some metallic glint out of the corner of his eye. Thug had pulled out a dark, gleaming pistol from his holster. Perhaps I should make myself more clear to you, Herschel McDermott. We do not make deals with dead men. Panic pounded frantically through his chest as he watched the events unfold from the warehouse window. He had to do something, but rushing without a plan was just a death wish. Utterly helpless, his knuckles lay wide against the windowsill as he watched with anxious dread. Beside him, Philip was frantically swearing into his phone. As a sudden beep as someone picked up. Fucking finally! It's an urgent exchange of whispers over the phone. Philip looked furious as he muttered the warehouse's address in something along the lines of, Get your ass over here right now before hanging up. No one rushed. Stuffed his phone back into his pocket before hurriedly rummaging through his shoulder bag. Owen, I'm gonna start your motorcycle and get ready to haul ass out of here. What do you mean? What do you have a plan? Sort of. Gonna going in there, grabbing Sissel's boss, and then we're gonna get out of here as fast as your bike can take us. How do you expect to do that? There are 2 armed men in there, not to mention... Owen paused. Philip, my bike won't fit 3 people. Didn't get a response. Philip yanked out a familiar black jacket out of his bag and frantically patted down his pants. Damn, where did I put it? Do you have some quarters on you? Didn't hesitate to fish out a handful of change out of his pockets. Philip plucked a quarter and flipped the coin in the air. The quarter flipped so high into the night sky that it disappeared from view. Several seconds passed, but Owen didn't hear the metallic clink of the coin falling back down to earth. Right, looks like we're ready. Turned towards Owen with a determined look as he dug his sleek black mask out of his bag. Owen, I'll stay here to buy you guys some time. When Sissel's boss comes out of the warehouse, grab him and get him out of here as quickly as you can. A friend should be on his way here with some help, and he can take you somewhere safe. No! Absolutely not! I'm not leaving you here! This is no time to argue. You can come back for me later, but first and foremost, you have to get Sissel's boss to safety. Philip, I'm not gonna let you die in there. His face softened for a moment before sharpened to a steadfast glare. Don't worry, I won't. Go to your bike, get ready. Took a few steps towards the warehouse before sparing Owen one final look. Sudden biting cold swept through the air, and Owen could feel the chill crawl down his spine. Oh my god, he's fucking... Oh my... I love Philip so much. I love him so much. God damn it. He's so cute. I need to... what's going on my phone? Someone from Discord messaged me. Okay, what do you want, Matthew? I'm gonna pause it. Alright, I'm back. Okay. There's no need to worry about me, Owen. I'll be fine. Oh my god! Hello! Stand user! Literal stand user! Holy shit! That was a JoJo pose if I've ever seen it. Fuck yeah! Hoo boy, badass Philip. Herschel could feel his heart pounding through his skull as he stared up at the burly thug towering over him. The larger man was grinning as he dug his heel deeper into his chest, his ribs growing in protest. Still got some fight in you, huh? Oh, I'm gonna have fun with this one. Herschel feebly grabbed at the foot planted square in his chest, but it wouldn't budge. He had to get out here and warn Sissel. Supposed to keep him safe. What's the whole point of this mess? He couldn't even manage that. A sudden chill washed over the warehouse interior. Herschel could feel his hair stand on end as a strange anxiety pooled up inside him. Lorelei Fugg seemed to feel it too. They exchanged nervous looks as they glanced around the building. How do you feel that, bro? Just a not chill, nothing more. What are you getting so worked up for? A sharp pierced the air as the fluorescent lights of the warehouse shattered one by one, plunging the building into darkness. There was a metallic click as the two debt collectors fiddled together with pistols drawn. Their only source of light was the dim glow of the moon pouring in from the windows. It was almost impossible to see anything against the shadows of the warehouse. Who's there? His voice echoed through the empty building with no answer. Whoever you are, you got quite the nerve to meddle with the Lorelei family. Do you have any idea who you're dealing with? Harsh clatter of chains suddenly reverberated through the room. Larger thug let a yell, and Herschel felt his weight from atop him shift as the man was knocked onto his back. Oh my god, this has been good. Yes, fuck yes. Herschel immediately scrambled onto his feet and attempted to make a break for it, but the thunderous screech of gunshots abruptly filled the air. Ducked and covered his head, but thankfully it seemed the thug's aggression was aimed elsewhere. They were shouting frantically into the dark at some known assailant, too distracted to pay him any mind. Herschel could just barely make out a slim figure darting about the shadows between the thugs as they blindly fired into the night. The hell? In chaos, he felt something long, cold, and metallic suddenly wrap around his midsection and drag him across the floor towards the building's entrance. He yelped and flailed blindly against the chains as they pulled him further and further away from the brazen gunshots and shouted inside the warehouse. The streetlights were almost blinding as Herschel tumbled on the cold pavement of the parking lot. He blinked and patted down his midsection in confusion. Whatever thing that had dragged him outside had disappeared. What in the world was that? He yelped as a sturdy arm grabbed him and pulled him onto his feet. Well, goddamn, he actually did it. You're Herschel, right? Sissel's boss. A tall young man glared down at him from atop an extremely bright orange motorcycle. Hurry up and climb on. They'll be chasing after us in a second. Wait a second, you're that Owen fella. What are you doing here? Is this really a time to ask that sort of thing? Do you want to get out of here or not? Your friend, someone came in to rescue me and they're still in there. We'll turn back towards the dark building behind them, still thick with shouting, piercing gunshots. Owen hesitated for a moment and looked as though he was fighting the urge to ruin the warehouse himself. He'll be fine. He risked his life to get you here safely, and he trusted me to get you out of here. She let a wave of guilt gnaw at the inside of his chest. You kids. You shouldn't be risking your lives for someone like me. This is my problem. Oh, don't start with that. Sissel's our friend, and he's gonna completely lose it if he finds out you died for such a dumb reason. Sissel is better off without me. His words were cut off as Owen shot him an intense glare. That's not your decision to make. Do you honestly think he'd be better off mooring his family for the rest of his days? Have any idea what it feels like? Herschel was stunned. Get on the fucking bike. Jumped as a remote gunshot rang out, this time much closer than before. Turned to see the shrewd thug sprinting out of the warehouse breathlessly, his gun raised and a murderous glint in his eye. Nobody weasels their way out from the Lorelei family's dealings. Gonna regret the day you were born, Herschel McDermott. Oh boy. Things are getting intense. Herschel didn't need to be told twice. They sneaked around Owen's motorbike and they shot out of the parking lot out of sight. Holy shit, man. What the fuck? Motorbike hurtled down the narrow road like a speeding bullet. Path ran precariously along the edge of Bradley Lake, and as much as Owen wanted to throttle the gas further, he had to take care and avoid careening off the road into the dark water below. He could feel Herschel grip his shoulder tightly as the man peered back at the warehouse tree in the distance. Your friend, is he gonna be alright? Greer just even forced himself to focus on the road. Philip's a tough guy, I'm sure he'll be fine. After he dropped Herschel off somewhere safe, he'll come back and find Philip. He's gonna yell at him so hard about how stupid this plan was that his voice will turn hoarse. He'll be back. The loud rumble of a car engine abruptly pulled Owen out of his thoughts. Suddenly they were enveloped by the sharp glare of headlights beaming them from behind. Owen glanced back into the blinding lights and could just barely make out the silhouette of the shrewd thug scowling furiously over the windshield of his sleek black car. More gunshots cut through the night air. Owen swore loudly and veered the motorbike left and right in an attempt to become a more evasive target. He felt Herschel's grip on his shoulders tighten as they both struggled to stay upright. Holy, is he really chasing after us like this? How are we supposed to escape? Behind them, the thug was leaning out the window of his car with his gun trained directly at them. Even through the blinding headlights, Owen could see the man's bloodthirsty grin as he tried to shoot them off their unprotected motorbike again and again. They were like sitting ducks. Maybe Philip was right. They really should have just rented a car tonight. Another bullet pierced the air and just narrowly missed Owen's ear. Swore under his breath and swerved the bike in more erratic maneuvers. How are they going to get out of this one? Only a matter of time before they got hit. In the rearview mirror, he saw the thug once again, carefully take aim. Before he could line up the shot, another pair of blinding headlights flooded their vision. This time it was coming from the front. Another car at this time of night? But it was enough. Bright flash threw off their pursuer's aim, and thankfully the bullet sailed far above its intended target. Owen squinted at the sharp light as he struggled to stay on the road. There was an oncoming rusty-old truck approaching them in the distance. The thing looked absolutely ancient, and held together with duct tape in a dream. Was it just a random person on the road, or somebody working for the Loreleys? It's hard to believe someone would be in this area of town at this time of night. As they got closer, Herschel suddenly piped up. Hey! Isn't that my truck? Time seemed to slow as they craned their necks to look into the oncoming truck as they passed by. Wait a sec. Cecil? The fuck? I glanced over Cecil's shoulder from the passenger seat as an ugly orange motorbike whizzed past us, my brain hardly comprehending what we just saw. We had followed Morse's instruction and borrowed Herschel's dinky old truck to the location he sent us, but I didn't expect to run into trouble before even arriving. If my eyes weren't playing tricks on me, that was Owen and Herschel, right? Think so. Can't imagine anyone else willing to ride a bike that looks like that. Two of us jumped as gunshots ripped to the night sky. Ahead we saw a sleek black car barreling down the opposite lane with reckless speed. Luckily Herschel's fossil of a truck was busted with its high beams permanently on. Made ourselves public enemy of the city during our ride here, and we managed to glimpse the driver's face. Hey, isn't that the debt collector with the dumb hat from this morning? And he's got a gun. Can't believe boss actually came here tonight to... Ugh, fucking twat! So swore loudly and slammed on the brakes. After fumbling with the stick shift controls for a moment, he veered the truck around in a U-turn, began chasing after two fleeting vehicles. I gripped the edge of my seat nervously as our truck's pathetic engine groaned at the speed Cecil was forcing it to reach. Thankfully, this road was rather narrow with long winding turns as it traced Bradley Lake's perimeter. Two cars ahead of us couldn't have gone too fast, even if they wanted to. Cecil managed to catch up to them in no time, and his furious glare locked onto the sleek black car with its gun-wielding driver. As we approached, Cecil let out a holler and slammed on the gas pedal. Our rickety truck surged forward and slammed into the sleek black car, sending it swerving out of control. Getting the debt collector shouting profanities at us as he struggled to regain control of his vehicle. Cecil took this chance to accelerate past him. He rolled down his window as he slowly built up enough speed to pull up next to Owen's still-moving motorbike. Owen, boss, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Hey, don't look at me like that. We just found your boss getting beaten up by those debt collectors and we decided to grab him and leave. Village utters a look of disbelief. The older rabbit shrunk back and hung his head low. "We can talk about this later. Hurry up and get in the truck. This isn't safe out there." Glanced behind us. The headlights of the debt collector's car were quickly approaching. Didn't look like stopping would be an option. Owen frowned and circled his bike around so that he and Herschel were perpendicular with the passenger door of our truck. "Open the door and take your boss in the truck." Galton instantly pushed the door open. Buffeting winds of the road immediately roared against my face. "What about you?" "Now go off-road and go back to that warehouse. Philip is still back there. I'm not leaving him behind." "Philip's here too?" By yet another gunshot, a stray bullet bouncing off the truck's rusty metal. Seeing the time for chatter was over. Thank fuck this guy was a very good shot, I thought to myself as I struggled to keep the door open. Owen nodded and pulled his motorcycle close to the passenger door as he could manage, while we all continued hurriedly down the road at high speed. Marshall gulped nervously as he leaned forward from his seat in the back of the motorbike, arms outstretched as he prepared to jump. I could feel Cecil's gaze over my shoulders as he nervously tried to keep the truck steady. "Dude, be careful! Get a little bit closer before you..." Another bullet sliced through the air, this time cracking the glass of the door. Herschel let out a yelp and made an unsteady leap forward. Managed to grab on my outstretched hand as he threw himself as hard as he could over the gap, but didn't quite make it. Whirled slowly to all as I watched Herschel begin to slip down towards the rough blur of the pavement below. Somewhere behind me I could hear Cecil utter an anguished shout that cut deep into my chest. No, that wouldn't do. Thinking quickly, and maybe without thinking at all, I seized Herschel's arm and yanked as hard as I could. My entire body into it as I pulled him into the truck. Herschel landed on the passenger seat with a thud while I fell forward and tumbled out the open door. For a moment the world was a blur, and I thought I was going to faceplant into the cutting pavement below. One's arm shot forward and grabbed by the collar of my shirt. I could barely breathe as I clung onto him as hard as I could, yelling something as he struggled to keep his grip on me while his motorbike veered dangerously off-center. I was forced to slow down to regain his balance. I watched as the truck continued barely down the road without us. "Alex!" The panic shout faded in the distance as the truck disappeared in the night with a murderous black car following closely behind. Cecil's knuckles had turned white from how tightly he was gripping the steering wheel. Beside him, Herschel was panting loudly as he struggled to slam the passenger door shut. I think I saw your friend grab Alex before he hit the ground. Debt collector ignored them and kept chasing after us. Should be okay." What a breath he didn't realize he was holding. That was one less thing to worry about, at the very least. Now there's everything else. Claire Herschel, the storm of emotions that had welled up inside him the entire day, suddenly spilling out. "Did you really plan to turn yourself into those murderers tonight? What were you thinking?" "Oh, look who's talking. You kids shouldn't even be here. I was worried about you, you fucking twat. You have any idea how scared I was when we went back to the cafe and saw you took all the cash out of the place? No idea why Owen was out there tonight, but thank God he was, because I'm pretty sure you'd be dead otherwise. I was doing what's right. I should have done it a long time ago. Last thing I wanted was to pull you into my mess. Well, too fucking bad I'm here now. You're not getting rid of me that easily. I'm not gonna let you off yourself with something stupid right after I found out we're related." Turning where he looked, Filter's face, he hung his head low. "Honestly, sis, you're better off without me." The whole truck shook suddenly. They both whipped around to see the thug's car ramming them from behind. Either he'd given up trying to shoot them through the truck, or he had run out of bullets. I could see the shrewd thug glaring at them from his windshield as he slammed into the gas once more. The rusty truck's frame rattled and groaned from the impact. He frantically scrambled to maintain control of the wheel as the thug's car continued shoving them from behind into this narrow road. He's trying to push us into the lake, Cecil thought, right before a near-splitting metallic crash rippled through the truck. Fully lost control, and the truck had barreled through the railing of the narrow road and over a sheer cliff overhanging the lake below. Cecil's breath hitched with nausea as their entire world tipped at an angle. Almost in slow motion, the truck fell forward and plunged straight into the cold black water of Bradley Lake. "Fucking what?" The truck sank like a rock and rapidly disappeared on the water's surface. Right above them, the shrewd thug climbed out of his black car and scanned the scene warily, gun at the ready. Watched as a torrent of air bubbles bulleted at the water surface while the truck plunged ever deeper. The finger was wrapped tight around his gun's trigger as he scanned over the lake. They were still alive. He would make sure to finish them off. They would not be happy with him. He left any loose ends. It really felt like an eternity until the air bubble slowly pittered out and the surface was calm once more. Water was black as ink. It was impossible to see anything within those depths. However, if anyone attempted to surface from the lake, it would spot them in an instant. Waited for at least another 10 minutes, far longer than anyone would survive without a breath of fresh air, but still nothing. Satisfied, the thug holstered his pistol and began making his way back to his car. This gnat turned into a goddamn mess. Let us sigh and drove off. Far below, the world disappeared for Sissel as soon as they hit the water. In the dim glow of the truck's interior lights, he could see the windows were littered with cracks, with tiny waterfalls pouring inside. There wasn't a hint of light from outside the truck. The world was just an endless span of black as the truck continued to sink further into the depths. Sissel's head was throbbing and something wet and warm was trickling down his forehead. He must have hit his head on something during the impact. Everything felt foggy. He tried to undo his seatbelt and push against the doors. They wouldn't budge an inch. Water pressure was trapping them inside. My head. He blinked through the days and tried to take in his surroundings. Beside him, Herschel was frantically bashed in against the glass and searching for a way out, but no luck. He tried rolling down the windows, but it looked like it had stopped functioning. They were stuck here. So shivered as he felt the water inside the truck slowly pull up to his knees. Well, fuck. Boss, you alright? She gave the window another futile bat before sinking into his seat, dread overtaking him. I'm fantastic. Everything's just great. Don't sound very fantastic. Of course I'm not. She'll hung his head low. Everything I've done, it's all been for nothing. Nothing I've ever done was worth a damn. I've only managed to make things worse. I just wanted to at least leave out all the problems I've caused, but I couldn't even do that. Told you already, I'm not letting you do anything stupid, boss. Stared up at him softly. We were family, right? I know things have been kind of a mess, but I still care about you. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it from you, and God knows I didn't deserve it from your mother. She let her raspy sob and buried his face in his hands. I killed your mother. Sissel glared at him sharply. No, you didn't. That crazy guy with the dumb hat and his big goon were the ones who killed my mom, not you. I stole money from Cecilia when I knew she needed to pay her debts. You stole because you thought you could solve all her problems with the competition winnings. It's a stupid move, but we've all fucked up before. Big deal. Stop blaming yourself and focus on surviving, alright? She didn't seem to hear him. The older man was busy, rubbing his eyes through ragged breaths, his face already raw with tears. You two were better off without me. If I weren't here, your mother would have had such an easier life. And you wouldn't have had to suffer such a horrible childhood. Only I weren't here. Sissel slammed on the glass so hard that it let an ear-piercing crack. More water began rushing in as he shot Herschel a furious, grief-stricken glare. Never say something like that again. Never! Don't run away! Paused, trying to catch his breath. I get it. Sometimes you just feel like you're not worth a damn. Every time someone tries to help you feel like a goddamn leech. I get it, it's hard, but please, promise me you'll never run away again. Sissel stared up at Herschel wistfully. No matter how hard it gets, there are people here who want you to be happy. Despite that little voice inside your head telling you you're better off spending their time on someone else, they chose to spend it with you. Isn't that a good thing? That even if we can't see it, something about us makes other people happy. I think we owe it to them to stay and face all the hard times together. Sis, I don't deserve any of it. It isn't about deserving. Caring isn't some big debt waiting to be collected. Boss, you don't need to offer something extraordinary for people to care about you. Mom cared, I care. And I think my world would be better with you in it. He felt his vision grow hazy, his head was throbbing with pain. He fell back onto his seat, clutching his forehead, his voice slowed to an unfocused mumble. Did you really think I would be happier with you dead? Just learned I still have a family. Don't don't leave me alone again. Cecil. World went black as Cecil slowly fell unconscious. Marshall was stunned silent for several long moments. Shook his head furiously. What was he doing? There was no time to mope. He had to focus on getting Cecil out of here. Water was already reaching up to their necks. Mentally kicking himself for letting things get this far, Herschel took a deep breath and ducked underneath the water. At this point, the water had filled out most of the truck. He struggled to hold Cecil's head afloat with one hand while the other fumbled blindly underwater for something useful. Okay, once the truck is entirely filled up, the water pressure should be equalized. Once that happens, you can open the door because it's the same pressure on the inside as the outside, so it should fucking open then. There. He had kept a small snow shovel in the back seat for rough winters. Some effort, Herschel managed to bash the cracked windows repeatedly underwater. Quickly grew dizzy and had to resurface from the breath of air. Diving back down, he tried again. Thankfully, this time he succeeded. Window finally shattered and more water rushed inside along with shards of broken glass. Herschel took one last deep breath of air before clutching Cecil tightly and carefully swimming out into the open lake. Herschel could feel the remaining glass cut into his side as he cradled Cecil's unconscious body protectively out the window. The truck had sank very deep into the lake. He could barely make out the light of the street lamps far above. Water was freezing. He could feel his muscles grow stiff as he paddled desperately towards the surface. He had to get Cecil out of here. They both had to get out of here. He still needed to apologize, and he couldn't face Cecilia like this. She could feel his lungs burn as he struggled his way towards the surface with Cecil in tow. But it was so far away. He had to make it. He had to. She hacked violently against the blackness as a rush of water suddenly entered his windpipe. It looked desperately against the current, but to no avail. The rope was fading quickly. Last of his strength, he shoved Cecil as hard as he could towards the surface. Cecil, His last breath spent everything soon faded. Bradley, you fucking... You badass, Brad, you fuck... I have to watch this again. Holy fucking shit. Holy shit. Sorry, excuse me. Oh my god. Um. Okay, so yeah, that was a lot. That was the two most recent updates, and honestly, it has expanded the story so fucking well. This is insane. This is so fucking good. My god, I can't even. Yeah, that was a lot, and yeah, the writing here is so good. Like, it's so much better than a lot of what I've seen Shira do. god, it's just... There's so much character shit going on here, and I'm really not in the right mindset to fucking talk about it. I gotta be honest. Oh my god. So, thanks for watching. I guess I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. Yeah. Bye.